Well, hello, my silky friends and Prof. Who's silky too?
Hello.
How you doing?
So, my silky friends.
Let me say hello to. I'm sorry, I probably won't get any, but everybody, let me just say hello, ACV, Samantha Springman. I'm having trouble misconstrue. AKR. Did that one even go up? I'm having trouble on my end. Monday. You know what? I'm gonna call you out. Ain't no angle. Monday. Let's see. Dark Arts. Hello. Aaron Town. Hello. Dieter. Hello. Kayla. Hello. Bonnie Coffenauer. Dean Johnson. Bobby Smith. Stem. Am I saying that right? Stem Convo. Dean Johnson. Pam Frenchman. Hello. Don McKenzie, Linda Garris. Oh my gosh, Prof, there's a lot of people in here. Tracy Fleetwood, Olivia, Peaches. Let's see, let me find somebody. Brittany. Um, did I say Tracy Prestwood? I can't remember. David Gray, Jeremiah Grady, just me, Nancy Drew. Hello to you. Marianne Foster, Rhonda Pitzer West, Lisa, I'm gonna try Gweno. Is that right? I probably did not do that
Gweno,
right.
hello,
Gweno.
Rachel. Yeah. Magenta, hey. So
Yeah, keep
many
calling them
people in here.
out. I know.
Yeah. Aunt No Angle. What's up, Brittany? David? Shoot.
Quantum Brain.
Heather Brown. Hey,
Sharkman.
Heather. Tracy Fleetwood. What's up, y'all?
Yeah.
Happy
This
Sunday.
is Happy Sunday. Man, this is a hot topic. And let me just say, um, if you are I don't even have a link. Well, if you're watching, I don't know which channel you're watching from, mine's or the profs. But anyway, please hit that like button. This is, I'm just going to say, and I had told Prof this earlier. I think if you are new here and you are following the Delphi trial and you don't know a lot of the background of Carroll County and stuff like that, now a lot of y'all know, and we're dependent on you to give us some names and details of people we're not thinking of. But I have a long list now. Um, but you might want to get a pen and paper because there are some names you're going to want to remember, don't you think, Prof?
Oh, yeah. Those of you new to Delphi, your minds may be blown a little tonight, but if you're a veteran long timer, uh, you'll know what we're talking about.
Digital, hello. Peaches, hello. Yeah, we've got so much to talk about. I'm going to dive right in. Is that okay with you, Prof?
Absolutely.
All right. We're going to talk about, I'm going to start with something that if you've, well, I'll say this. Even a lot of people that follow Delphi don't know about Flora, and especially the new people don't know about Flora. And we are coming up on the anniversary of, hold on just a second, of the Flora 4 fire. Do you want to talk about Flora, Prof?
Oh,
I mean, either one of us can start.
sure. God bless those little girls.
Yeah.
Never
This,
knew them, but I love them. And I've said before that I encourage anyone whatsoever whosoever might be in Indiana to visit Indianapolis and go to Crown Hill Cemetery and go and find their headstones and spend some time with them and you'll be moved. You'll come back. They're in a gorgeous, gorgeous cemetery, and they have beautiful headstones. And if you go spend some time with them, you'll come away uh, feeling very connected. And I just love those little girls, and I feel for
yeah.
their mother. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
Um, I've got a cat tangled in everything. Say hello to Sachi. Okay, Sach, you can't be up here. Um, yeah, I don't talk about Flora as much, but we're kind of coming up on the anniversary actually in just a few days. Um, I don't talk about Flora as much, Prof, because I get so emotional. I'm either gonna get really irritated and start yelling, or I'm gonna cry, or both. And that's not something that I like to do in chat and on a live stream. But if you don't know about Flora, now this is just 3 months before the murder of Abby and Libby. This is in Flora, which is just up the road, pretty much from Delphi. It is in Carroll County as well. Now, in November of 2016, these four little girls, and look, I'm not going to go into the gory details, and the details are very, very bad. Not so much, I mean, the whole situation is really bad. So understand, I will be doing some more videos on Flora in the coming weeks after the trial. Um,
Mhm.
but in 2016, these four girls perished in a house fire. Now, that if the crime has never been solved, and let me just say this, a lot of the players and a lot of the names that you hear brought up in Delphi were involved in Flora. For instance, it crosses over. Understand it's a small county. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm saying that there are a lot of connections, all right? You have the connections with Becky Patty, who was Libby's Liberty German's grandmother, did the appraisal on the Flora house fire, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks before the fire. You have a lot of the people like David Erskine, a lot of the first responders that went to Flora also went to Delphi. And so there's a lot of crisscrossing in here. Now, there have been a lot of theories, just like Delphi. This is another one that is extremely difficult to unravel because of all of the players. You have a little bit of racism. You have a little bit, I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube, but I did. So you have that. Um, you have uh, you have potential dealings in substances, and I don't even know. I don't even know, Prof, what to say, except many people have said, I think you've probably heard it too, that if you can solve Flora, you can solve Delphi. And from what I know, I would say there is a very large possibility that that is true. What do you think, Prof?
Well, I think that the facts are that there are so many of the same names tied around both cases. So that in and of itself would suggest some sort of potential, potential
Right.
there.
Right. Um, I you've probably I know you've covered Flora in your playlist. I also have in my old videos from like a year and a half ago. If you want the details, you can go to either one of our channels and look at long discussions on Flora. But I would say this one, even though it's happened just before Delphi, I still included this one in the count, the death count. Okay. Um, Now, the next person I want to talk about is Stephanie Thompson. Now, Stephanie Thompson is directly related to Flora and also to Delphi because, again, some of the first responders of Flora have come up in Delphi. Stephanie was a was she was ISP, right, Prof?
Yes.
Okay. Stephanie Thompson was ISP, and she was her job primarily, I think, was to um, do the polygraphs for people, and she was so good at it that people said she was a human polygraph. Like she knew the results just by listening to someone talk. I mean, of course, she had it on paper, she had the science behind it, but she was very, very good. Now, I'm not going to name any names in this live stream. But one of the first responders um, of the county was had to undergo a polygraph with Stephanie Thompson, and there were, just put it this way, a lot of questions about whether the whole truth was coming out. And strangely enough, shortly after that, Stephanie and her daughter Maya died in a house fire. Now, Stephanie was married to Judge Thompson. We're going to talk a little bit later on about the connections between a lot of these people in Carroll County. But Stephanie, yeah, it was very strange. Wouldn't you say, Prof? It's just kind of strange. The details of that house fire.
Yes, killed then burned, like 85% or so.
Yeah,
These suspicious deaths, they often they're killed and then they're arsoned. Yeah.
yes. And her husband was not present that night. There's just a lot. And if you want to start on the fires of Carroll County, I could go on and on and on and on. Have lots of stuff on just the fires, which I probably will do one of these days as well. But yeah, so we added Stephanie because of the relationship between her and the first responders of both Flora and Delphi. Now, let's go to Greg Ferency. Greg Ferency, although if you're new, you didn't hear it in the trial because they didn't bring this up because they couldn't bring in third party things. Greg Ferency, who was it, Prof? It was Todd Click, it was Click, Ferency,
And
and who were
Kevin
the
Murphy. Hmm.
Kevin Murphy, and who was the fourth investigator?
Oh, you got me there.
There were
Uh,
four of them. I cannot remember. Um, anyway, there were four investigators that were really on top of it in the beginning of Delphi. Okay, um, they did some really deep digging. I'm getting tongue tied. They got a lot of information. Okay, they very much had a suspect. Um, as a matter of fact, and he's not a victim. Well, he is a victim in my opinion, but Greg Ferency, um, they actually brought their information and they said, "Hey, look, we believe that these are the perpetrators of the crime on the Monon High Bridge." Okay, Abby and Libby, they felt like they had solved this. They're very good investigators, a lot of experience, and shortly after that, they're in the office one day and someone throws a Molotov cocktail outside of the building. So Greg Ferency walks out to see what's going on and he is shot and killed right there
in cold blood. Cold blood.
in cold blood. Now, after Ferency died, the other three officers, they kind of just stopped the investigation. I've read different interviews with some of them, and they said it. I guess maybe their whole, not their theories. They never changed their minds on what they believe happened. Had nothing, by the way, to do with Richard Allen. Um, they had very good suspects, and after this, the investigation just kind of fell apart. They stopped really working on it. And we're going to talk about that. That's really what I'm going to let Prof talk about is the culture of fear. So I'm building up here to show you why there is a culture of fear. Now, Todd Click was supposed to testify at the Delphi trial, and he was on he was on notice for a long time because after Richard Allen was arrested, these officers came to Nick McClellan, the prosecutor, and said, "Hey, excuse me, but we don't think Rick Allen is the guy. We told you who is responsible for this years ago." And basically, they were ignored. And then Todd Click was supposed to testify at the trial, and strangely enough, there's these weird charges that were brought against him. So that took him out of the running of testifying at the trial. It's a little sus, don't you think, Prof?
Yeah, I think that was retribution, payback.
Yeah,
That's my conspiracy theory.
yeah. Mine too. I think it was payback, and I also think it was prevention. Although I don't know the way the trial went, I don't know since they couldn't bring in third party. I don't know if he would have actually been able to testify. But if he had, it would be part of the court record. Anyway, this happened. By the way, this happened on in 2021. Okay. Now let's talk about another officer who had a strange. I can't, this is one of those things you can't say it was, but you can't say it wasn't. Nate Miller was an officer that started working for Carroll County, and he had only been there, what, about 6 months, I think. And as far as anyone knew, as far as was reported, he had a happy home life, happy, everything, just a regular guy living his life, no big problems at home, nothing that sent up red flags. But after he was working for Carroll County, and I believe I've heard several people say he was working trying to help. I'm sure all the officers were trying to help in some way solve the Delphi case. In his patrol car in uniform without any red flags, Nate Miller is found unalive, self-induced at, wasn't he at a park or something, Prof? I think. Anyway, on duty, he unalived himself in his patrol car, which, look, there's a lot of stresses that go with being law enforcement, but it's just suspicious, okay? That there were never any signs, according to his family, that he was suffering from depression or any of these things prior to working for Carroll County. And then if you're going to do something like that, doing it on the job in your patrol car is not usually the way that you do it. So there you go. Just wanted to bring that up. Now, let's go on. Now, I can't say.
I'm sorry, Silky. I want to draw attention
Okay.
to Monday's comment here.
Okay.
Body count 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, even more. 13, 14, 15, 16. The body count is very high surrounding all of these people.
Yes. Yes, 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 it is. Now, I included, and I can't say that this was, let's just say this is rumor, okay? If you didn't know who Cat was a YouTuber, and he says in a lot of his videos he was down at the Monon High Bridge during February 13th, 14th. Cat, they said, died of natural causes. However, let me just put this out here. I'm including him in the count because of the Delphi culture, and a lot of us know how lethal and how dangerous it is to be on YouTube and talking about Delphi. People have known this for many years, and Cat it has been said, all right, rumored that there were some things about Cat's death that weren't quite right, and perhaps, just perhaps, someone else could have been involved. And I'm going to leave it at that. You can look up Michael Catstroop, and you can look in some of the chats and Reddit and all that stuff, and you'll probably come across some information. So I did include him. Just while I'm at it, RIP to Doug Rice, who was involved, and his death was, completely, it was natural, all right? Had nothing suspicious that I know of about Doug Rice's death, but he was investigating early on, and we lost him as well. Now, our next one.
And I'd
This
like to
is,
say something
go
too,
ahead,
Susie,
yeah.
on that. Kat, is that it's very funny because a lot of these deaths, they appear to be suicides or overdoses and that sort of thing. But the more I look into it, the more that they look like hot shots and murders. I think that when we're looking at these deaths, you can't always take for face value the claims of suicide or of hot or
Mm-hmm.
of overdoses. You really gotta kind of back off and question everything, because we know, like Shelley's saying here, who doesn't investigate 14 deaths? You know, who doesn't investigate all of the deaths surrounding this and start to say, like, what the hell is going on here?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add
No, I want you to
that.
interrupt. You're so quiet. I know you're watching chat because when we're talking, it's kind of hard.
It's a lot
I
of
just
chat.
I want to let you know though, Prof. If you see something that you want to go back to, put a star. If you hover over that, you can star a comment, and that way we can go back and we can answer all of the questions,
Perfect.
or things. Yeah, because there's so many. Thank you so much. There's so many people talking and saying such good things that we want to go back to some of this. Now, next on the list is Judge Maughmer. We will get to even how he's related. Well, actually, let me see. Judge Maughmer, yeah, I will go back to him. Um, he, strangely enough, was a judge who decided to go, and I'll tell you how it's related in just a second. He decides to, they say, supposedly, he decides to work on his car one day after work. Now, so he goes out to his barn, garage, something, and he's underneath his car. All of a sudden, the jack goes out from slips and his vehicle crushes him. Now, I know that's an accident that does happen from time to time, and I would say if it wasn't in this area of Indiana, it might have been passed up. First of all, Prof, I don't know what kind of judge works on his own vehicle, but, that's the story.
It's funny. I was just thinking that in my head. It's like, what kind of judge works on his own car? But who knows? You never know. You never know. Maybe he was into that
Yeah. Oh,
stress relief.
sister. Yeah. Okay, now
I
his
didn't know he
sister
was
was.
married to. This says sister married to Fouts. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. But let me take you to something that I do know. Let's see. Here we go. Make sure, can y'all see that? Yeah. All right. So over here in the yellow, this is Judge Maughmer. Now, what's interesting about Judge Maughmer is that he prosecuted the guy in green, Tracy Lee Evans. Okay, this guy was a chomo. Tracy Lee Evans had multiple problems with children. Okay, it wasn't his first rodeo. And Judge Maughmer wanted to make a statement. He really wanted to come against this. And so he um, sentenced Travis Lee Evans to 152 years for child SA. All right? That's a lot of years. Now, what does this got to do with anything? Well, as it would happen, Travis Evans has a nephew named Shane Evans. Now, Shane Evans, at the time of Abby and Libby's death, was the mayor of Delphi. Now, Shane Evans works for the prosecutor, Nick McClelland. Very interesting.
Oh, that makes my blood boil. That makes my
Yeah.
blood boil, so it's silky.
Yeah, it does mine too. And so, yeah, that was a very suspicious death. So, you try the uncle of the mayor, sentence him to 152 years, and then all of a sudden, your vehicle crushes you because you're working on your car. Because as a judge, you don't make enough money apparently to do that. Now, I mean, it's always been one of those suspicious deaths that people bring up. On the right side of the second, because we're going to look at the right side of this. But now after that, you get to um, Anna Downham. Am I saying that right? Anna
Mhm.
Downham and John McCurdy. Now, here is a real head scratcher. Okay, this is a house that burned. By the way, if y'all don't know anything about Indiana, especially Carroll County and surrounding counties, things just go up like poof. Man, the buildings and the houses, I don't know what they build them out of. Straw, I guess. I don't know. There are so many ridiculous amounts of buildings burning. And that does revert back to Flora as well. But now this is in 2020 in Carroll County. They found a man and a woman inside the home, and the woman, uh, they say Anna Downham, had been killed before the fire started in the house. But they don't believe that John McCurdy did it. Now, they're both killed in the fire. So let's go back to this right here. John McCurdy, if you look over here on the right with this little flame, John McCurdy died in the house fire. What's interesting is that John McCurdy was married to a woman named Barbara. Barbara, his ex wife, is the sister of Steve Mullen, who was the chief of police in Delphi at the time of the murders. Now, also like what somebody said, now who was that? Fouts was married to who's who did we just say a while ago? What did you put
Uh,
up on the screen?
was it Fout's sister and Mullins? No, no. Oh gosh, let me go back to
I
that.
know, I know, it gets confusing,
It was
right?
Fout's sister and Mothman. Oh, where is it?
That
I don't
that
know
I
if I
wonder
can
if I have
find it
that.
again.
Hold
Let's
on, my
see.
oh, no wonder my stuff is going crazy.
What are you going
Sorry.
crazy doing over there?
It's my cat. She was sitting on the keyboard.
Oh, let me see.
Okay.
Let me find this. Let me find this. Let's see.
Okay. Let's go back.
Oh, here it
Okay.
is. So I meant Fouts' sister married to Maughmer.
Okay. So I need another line over here. So Fouts' sister is married to Maughmer. Okay, let me go back because I have Maughmer on the page before that. You're starting over here. You have Judge Diener and Abigail Diener. Diener is a name that you've heard a lot in the trial. Diener, Abigail, and Stephanie Thompson, who died in the house fire, were working with CASA together in 2012. And then, y'all, it's a whole thing. Judge Fouts actually was prosecuted not that much for having multiple. He was part of the Kokomo Boys Club, and there were a lot of girls, underage girls, used for SA. The whistle was blown by this woman down here in pink, Jalen Rain, and she also was part of the Kokomo Boys Club. So you see how Fouts. Okay, John McCurdy. Oh, see, I forgot this. John McCurdy is Judge Fouts' cousin. And, okay, yeah, here we go. Well, it says Judge Dan Fouts. Okay, his daughter Beth. Yeah, married to Judge Maughmer. Okay. There we go. So, yeah, you see how all of these people, the same names keep coming up. Very interesting. Now, let's fast forward to another one. Karina McClurkin. Karina McClurkin was a young girl who went missing. Okay, she was known to participate with the Kokomo Boys Club, sort of, not exactly in that, maybe in that same vein. She did have a history of substance abuse, but one day she just comes up missing. And it was literally years before they found Karina's body. Now, they did pin that on a man, and I'm not saying pin as in I don't think he's guilty. I don't know anything about him. His last name is Farmer, Flint Farmer. And I think this was only, what, Prof, in the last year or two
Hmm.
that they found Karina's body. There were lots of rumors from the Kokomo Boys Club and the motorcycle club, the whole 9 yards that goes into Kokomo. Kokomo, by the way, has a crime rate that is insane as far as statistically, as far as ratio to people who live there. Okay, so their crime rate is astronomical, and Karina unfortunately got mixed up with this crowd. Was missing. I haven't been following the Flint Farmer case, but I imagine that there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up with that. Now, speaking of Kokomo, we've got Gabe Ellis. Now, the day that Abby and Libby were missing, no, Karina was missing. Gabe Ellis was also in the area of Delphi around and about during February 13th and 14th. This is when he was arrested. When he was arrested, um, he was in the car with a 16-year-old girl named Sierra. Sierra had been given substances, she had been abused, and he was also riding around with substances and weapons. Now, Gabe was arrested, and these pictures were literally taken just like he was arrested back to back. After this is prior to Abby and Libby on the left. On the right, just a few days later, he has shaved his whole head, which has made him one of the big suspects in the Delphi case, along with others, as you know. Um, and he is currently in jail. He's committed so many crimes. I'm not going to get into all of Gabe Ellis, but he is in jail, suspected of being potentially also involved with Karina and other girls, other situations. And I'm going to, before I go on with the rest of the list, I want to bring this up because I just found this today, and Prof told me that this has been going on. I mean, like the last couple of days, this came up. Look at this, the marriage licenses. Y'all who are following the trial are going to find this very interesting. Bradley Weber, 35, and Catherine Westfall, 40, of Brinkhurst, applied for a marriage license on July 17th of 2002, according to the Delphi Carroll County Comet, which is their newspaper. It's all online now.
What date does
But
that say there?
2002,
Does it say the date?
July 17th.
Okay, I have a date of July 2nd, 2002.
Hmm.
Marriage. So maybe, yeah, I can't see it as too small.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
But no, Brad
Yeah,
Weber and Catherine Westfall, July of
yeah.
2002.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Crazy. So, especially when you're talking about the Delphi case, and if you all are just learning about it, there is there is a huge third party theory that has way more evidence against them than Richard Allen ever thought about having. One of those characters is a guy named Patrick Westphal. So clearly, Brad Weber, who was, you know, who has a house right there at the and testified at the trial, and everybody's like, who is this goofball? Um, yeah, you can't say you don't know the Westfalls of Brinkhurst. Just saying. I just threw that in there. Okay, let's go back to some more. Let's go back to other people who have been accused or their POIs, persons of interest in the Delphi case. prior to Richard Allen. You have Garrett Kurtz and Ashley Garth. Now, they are both in jail. Garrett Kurtz, to me, actually not as much as Tyler French, but he could be young bridge guy. You see him in other pictures, you could possibly see that. Now, um, let me go to the next picture. These are in jail for number one, the death of Ray Hamish. Now, this is something that Prof, did Garrett do this one by himself? Ray Hamish, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you already have and there's that's a whole story. You want to hear about it sometime, we'll talk about it. The one that they let's go on to, oh, I didn't put her name up here. Nicole Bowen.
It's Nicole. Yes.
Nicole Bowen is what they're in jail for. The unaliving of Nicole out of, I don't know, jealousy, whatever. Now, what you need to know is that Garrett Kurtz was a, not only was it said that he and the crew were around the Monown High Bridge on February 13th, 2017, but also the property, again, this didn't come up in the trial, but the property that Abby and Libby were found on was owned by a man named Ron Logan. Now, Ron Logan was a suspect early on. He was the first suspect that they had. Ron Logan was, I think he passed away in was it 2020 or 2021 of COVID? One of those.
That's what they
But
say. I'm still not even sure about that.
there's some weird stuff with that. Um, Ron Logan, it was on his property, et cetera, et cetera. Again, a whole nother can of worms. And even the FBI felt that Ron Logan was involved. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. But what I do know is that Garrett Kurtz frequented Ron Logan's property. He would ride horses, things like that. So Garrett Kurtz was very, very familiar with the area. And rumors have it that Garrett Kurtz was there that day. So yeah, you have the untimely death of Nicole Bowen, also by Delphi suspects. And let me put this one up here. Kyra Boning. Now, she was another woman that had a kind of a strange end. Prof, you want to talk about Kyra?
Yeah, I almost want to back up a few back to Ashley and Garrett, if you
Okay,
don't
let's
mind.
go.
Yeah. There's Kyra was okay, good. There we go. Garrett and Ashley. So in Prof's universe, these two are involved in Delphi, in my opinion. Um, I believe they were both there involved. And why aren't they talking is the thing. But can you go forward a few to let's see, to Nicole?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so see Nicole. Now the interesting thing about those two, for me, a huge red flag with those two is when they killed Nicole. The story that they spread was that Ashley was jealous of Nicole. Okay, that was the first story they spread. We killed her out of jealousy. Garrett killed her for Ashley because Ashley was jealous. Um, well, I never bought that story, but the most interesting thing in the world to me is that then sometime later, Garrett came out and corrected that and said, no, no, no. I killed Nicole because of a meth operation. She had knowledge of a meth operation I was involved with. Well, remember that I'm saying that I believe Garrett killed Nicole because she knew about Delphi, and as you may remember, I've said that I believe Delphi was a meth operation. So it's my opinion that Garrett told the truth that he killed Nicole here over a meth operation he was involved with that she had knowledge of, which was Delphi. And part of the reason I say that is because Radar told me about an experience she had with Ron Logan. And as you were referring to, Garrett knowing Ron Logan very well and Ron knowing Garrett very well, that when they learned, when Ron learned that Garrett had killed Nicole, he was stunned. He was stunned, and he what he said to Radar was, "Why on earth? What on earth could you do? Would someone have to do to make you kill them?" And they were realizing and discussing how they had to have killed Nicole because she had knowledge of another murder, and I've never been able to let that go. I've never been
Mm,
able to let it go. So, in my opinion, this poor girl right here was brutally killed and left in a hunting shack, by the way, because she had knowledge of Delphi and they wanted to silence her. And I almost, I don't know if you mind going back to Ray, but I sort of feel that maybe Ray too. Maybe it's
okay.
maybe there's a potential that Ray found something out uh, right here.
I
So,
I have read this case. Thank you all on both of our channels. Thank you for your contributions. I usually do a contribution call out, but we'll get to that later. But thank you all so much.
thank you, A to Z.
Um, okay, Ray Hamish. You know what's crazy about all these cases, and that's why I told people if you don't know, get a pencil and paper and just start writing them down. You can Google it, or you can go to, look at old videos on people's channels. Each of these people have a very unique story, and I did read about Ray Hamish, but it's been a while, so I couldn't remember all the details on that one.
Oh,
Um,
this is interesting. Crazy Chick 79 says Nicole was also a witness with Libby's dad. Get out of here.
where was that?
Ooh,
See,
that plot thickens.
I had starred this one. Oh, okay. I'm gonna put a star on that. Also, right above that, somewhere. Let's see. Where was my other star? They were talking. There was another one talking about Libby's dad. But here it is. Yeah, crazy chick. Libby's dad was a police informant against Ashley, and she lost custody of her kid because of it. And they stayed at Ron Logan's property.
Right.
Yes.
Where is that? Because I haven't been able to find that. There you go. No, that's not it.
No, it's right. Hold on. Let me
I'd
back it
love
up
to
in the
throw that
chat.
one up because that's actual factual too.
Why
Whoever
is
that
it
is
so
said that
hard?
is very smart. Thank you. Oh, I see it
Why?
here.
Hello, Joey. Thank you so much.
Libby's
Um,
dad was a police informant against Ashley, yes. And she lost custody of her kid because of it, yes. And they stayed at Logan's property in the woods, yes.
yeah. Uh,
Thank you, crazy
Also,
chick.
this is true too, Joey. Fouts is the judge that kept letting Ashley Garth and her people in her substance gang off the hook. Yeah, as well as a lot of other people, Joey. I mean, I'm not going to start naming names, but we all know some of the people that Judge Fouts has represented, and they're not good. Okay, they're just not. Um, let's see, and then tell us about Kyra.
Kyra. Kyra was the girlfriend, beautiful girl, girlfriend of Mark Green, who was a tattoo artist and was shop in Flora. And so it's very interesting with her death because she ended up dead. They searched for her, couldn't find her. And
Right.
where they had previously searched, just like Abby and Libby, they ended up finding her dead where they had already searched. It's my opinion after her body had been uh, dumped at the scene where they found her. And there's a lot with this story too. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know if anyone in the chat. Why don't I let some people in the chat chime in on Kyra, another beautiful girl. Someone here said that these are all beautiful people. Someone up here in the chat said, and I agree. All of these are beautiful victims, aren't they?
Yeah. They are. And look, this isn't the end of the list. I mean, when you talk about stuff there, I mean, I've thought of, things. I don't know if they're directly related to Delphi, but I don't know that they're not. This is just probably the beginning list, you know. And look at all the people that we've named so far. Let's see. Oh, yeah, all of these people appear on each other's Facebook's friends lists, and they have relatives appear on uh, some of the families' lists. Wow. Nicole was so beautiful. During Garrett's police interrogation, the officer stated Nicole was working with us. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I mean, all of this, and there's just one more thing I want to say because, and I didn't realize this uh, until I was talking with Prof today about, and I'm not going to name the name, someone I couldn't find, someone I've associated with in the past, and I have great respect for her. She's awesome. Her channel is down. Her email is not working, and I have no way to contact her. So I wanted to say to all of the YouTubers over since 2017 who have been threatened, harassed, and shut down, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And, this is one of the things, Prof. It's like this is the setup, I guess, for the what we wanted to talk about, which is the culture of fear. And it's not, we've both had harassment at different times. You've had way more harassment than I have. But a lot of people have shut down, have and I look, I'm not no blame, okay? You have to do what is right for your family, for your safety, okay? I'm not saying that I'm not throwing shade here. It's just I can go through and see a lot of people that used to be talking and they're not talking anymore. And so I'm going to let you open it up the whole thing for the the culture of fear because that's really Prof's area, what he wanted to talk about. And y'all, in the comments, there are things that, let me just put it this way, there are things that we're not going to say. But if you bring it up in the comments, we can read your comment.
Yes, I
See
want to
how
read
that
some
works?
comments.
Yes.
Um,
So you go ahead. I've been
yeah,
talking for a
I'm
long
looking
time.
at some of these chats. Let me try to catch up to the current ones, and then we'll go. Kurtz and Ellis are both in prison for life. Wonder why one of them doesn't just take the blame, or talk. Just talk about what you know. Remember, someone in here said something about Open Secrets, a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Yes, everyone who doesn't already know should go find the Open Secrets YouTube channel and subscribe to it and watch all of the Garrett Kurtz and Chris Mathis type of videos. She did an amazing job. Actual journalism. Um,
Yes.
um,
Yeah. That'll give you, I mean, yeah. Some of it is mind blowing. I've often, but this is the thing. I feel like, Prof, it's like I feel like there were so many involved, even not in the actual maybe unaliving, but in who were there that day, who saw, who were part of the group. I think that's a big part of our problem with Delphi.
yep. So the question: Do you have a pulse on the folks at Delphi? Do you know any? Did you know anything about Richard before his arrest? Hell no, no. But you know who did? Don Toretti and a bunch of people from Delphi on 4chan. And I've posted a lot of those receipts, and we'll post more. Okay. Um, Lewis says, Prof, I appreciate you bringing up Ron Logan's suspicious death. Logan did not die of COVID. They made sure he was silenced before Rick was arrested. Yeah, and I had speculated at one time that did Ron become a CI and was he relocated to Florida because there's some anomalies around him, but we're not going to get into all that conspiracy theory tonight. But yeah, Let's
Yeah,
see.
we
And I
should
want to go in. Let's see
we should just do a whole series, Prof. The Delphi conspiracy.
the conspiracy
Uh,
theories. Yeah.
yeah, there's
Um,
so many.
so Steve Johnson's been hitting some amazing comments tonight already. He says all leads to and involves informants, in my opinion. Absolutely, Steve Johnson. I don't know where you're coming from. You're new to me. Maybe you're one of Silky's viewers, but yeah, you're doing amazing work with your questions here, and we're on the same page. I mean, I do feel it's just amazing to me that I feel that all of these deaths are centering around informants from who I call the cartel. Some people call the Kokomo crew. Uh, Remember that Silky mentioned all the suspicious death statistics in Kokomo, but you've also got to look at all the suspicious. The arson ratio in this part of the state is off the charts. It
Yes.
doesn't make sense. And I wish we have a special friend here. She's kind of ducked out lately, but she is absolutely like up to date with all of that. And it's just mind-boggling how you could have such anomalies and people not looking into it, and how you could have all these deaths uh, and people not looking into them as being possibly part of some domestic terrorist organization who I think these people are. I think you mentioned the culture of fear, and I do want to speak to that because we have all of these anomalous or suspicious deaths around this case. And someone asked earlier, and I didn't put it up, but they said, "How does this relate to Abby and Libby?" Well, I'll tell you how. How we believe that it's this domestic terrorist cartel type of organization that traffics in drugs and people that are behind the deaths of Abby and Libby and possibly the Flora girls. And and it appears to us that all of these body count we've just showed you are possibly related to the same cartel. And you got to understand, how do cartels work? They operate through fear and intimidation. And so I like to say that they've established a culture of fear around Delphi and the Delphi murders and Flora. So what does that mean? It means in every way, whether it be the bodies that are uh, following uh, fall, the bodies surrounding this case, whether it be the like the showing of the thousands and thousands of bikers that showed up after the deaths of Abby and Libby, uh, whether it's all of the trolling. Now, people know me. You guys know me. You know I go nuts about the trolling. And so let me read Radar's comment. I'll get back to that. Kyra was at festival the weekend before, I believe. Anthony Greeno got Kyra and Mark Green on video. Then Anthony Greeno announced she was missing. The K and MG shared a the Kyra and Mark Green shared a child. Is that what you're saying? Um,
Wow. Hmm.
okay.
Very interesting. And yeah, for those that don't know, okay, if you're new to Delphi and you just know Richard Allen, you don't have the background of knowing about things that we've all looked at for the past long time, but especially the Franks motion that was never heard because Judge Gold would not allow it. Now, the Franks motion, if you don't understand that, um, Franks is based on a case wherein you gather evidence illegally, basically. It's either a lie, it's made up, or you gathered it illegally, so therefore it can't be introduced into court. And they were saying the PCA, the probable cause, which led to his arrest, was, it was illegal. And if you dive deep into it, you will see that it is. But Judge Gold would never allow them to have a hearing on it because if they had a hearing on it, then the whole case would have been thrown out. But in that Franks motion, there were so many details of other perpetrators that are very, very suspicious. Okay, a lot of even physical evidence to the crime of Abby and Libby had nothing to do with Richard Allen that we know of. It had to do with a lot of these other groups and possibly the production of substances in that area, a whole lot of different people. Okay. So that's how all of this relates, because if you're just looking at Richard Allen, you're going to say, okay, this doesn't relate to anything. But it does when you know the history of Carroll County and what's been going on.
This I don't know about. Somebody says, please don't forget the Logan Sport 6 fire. That's something I don't know anything about, so I'll have to look into it. But thank you for
Hey,
bringing that. That's what we need from you. Everyone,
yeah,
show us where to look. Help
yeah.
us.
Samantha, email me. Let me, or if you have a link, email me.
Tammy
Um,
Martin, thank you for the comment and the super chat of keep up the good work. Thank you. We care. Uh, what were we saying here?
we were talking about,
Geez, I'm reading so many comments.
I know, I know. I appreciate it. And I'm afraid I'm going to miss something important, and I'm trying to go through here and make sure we're not being trolled too bad or anything like that. Um oh, I have not adjusted fate. I have not included this one, but this was one of the ones, Prof, that I was talking to you about before we started the stream
Oh,
of
we forgot her, Cat Cole. Yeah.
yeah. I was like, okay, this is on the peripheral too, and I probably should mention this one.
Sorry about
Um
that. I would have wanted you to. Yes.
oh, okay.
Is the
Okay.
Huddleston fire is the six? That what you're talking about?
I think it
That's what I know
is.
it. So yeah, I'm a little goofy with when it comes to.
Yes, that's
Oh,
a
here we
whole
go.
nother can of worms.
This is what I was looking for. That okay. Dan Jones. It's the strategy of tension past the tipping point of fear to the average person shuts it all down. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, I wanted to say the trolling. What I'm getting at here is we're dealing with the domestic terrorist organization that's running the entire underground economy of the Midwest, especially right there locally in central Indiana. And I believe that obviously, part of the cartel tactics are always murders to silence, right? Because the whole thing is silencing people to control the flow of information. And I think that the interesting thing with this group is these uh, organizations have learned to use the internet just like you and me, Silky, because
Hmm.
the internet enables things to go so much easier, life to be easier. We can go on, we can buy groceries at Walmart, have them delivered without getting up out of our chair. And
Yeah,
we can message. I can talk to people around the world, and I do every day. And we can do lives. We can send money. I pay my rent through the internet. So the old landlord, I don't have to drive to him. He doesn't have to drive to me. I don't have to put a stamp on anything. I just pay him through a Zelle. So these organizations have also learned that it's obvious, and like I said, I know because they've told me. Some of my informants from within those organizations have said we moved from the streets onto the internet because it's easier to control things on the internet. And
hmm,
so when I'm looking at all of the insane amount of trolling and death threats, intimidation and doxing and all of that surround this, like this basic culture of fear around the murders of two little girls, which makes no sense whatsoever. I back off from it and I look at it as just part of a subset of the larger thing here, that there is this culture of fear, and it's all the murders surrounding the cases. Uh,
yeah,
it's all the doxing, it's the running people off of the internet, it's the harassment, the going after your family. And we even have Robert Fortson, who ended up another victim of all of this insanity around these cases. And
yeah,
you know, in whatever way that's related, the fact is that that's another young girl or child who has to grow up without a father, a wife who has to grow up without a husband, and another needless death just surrounding this double murder of Abby and Libby. And you have
yeah.
to wonder what the hell is going on here.
And you were talking about moving everything to the internet. And my understanding now, I cannot vet this because I have never one day been on the dark web. But my understanding is a lot of transactions use cryptocurrency. So if you're using crypto to pay for things, then I mean, it's very stealthy, is what I'm saying. So I understand why people would, you know, move their business to the internet. Um, and then, yeah, there's so many people, Prof. I know you get it all the time, and so do I. Even from the beginning of talking about Delphi a couple of years ago, I have people reach out to me and tell me, I want to talk, but we don't talk in Delphi because we are afraid. We're afraid. And I know you said you've gotten that too, right?
Oh, the people who have been silenced, who reach out, yeah,
Yes.
they'll talk to me behind the scenes, but I
Mhm.
mean, I'm talking about big time YouTube creators talk to me and say, I'm not doing it because I'm afraid they're going to kill me.
Mhm.
Anthony Greeno and Mark got into an altercation. Then Mark called into Anthony's video and asked everyone to help find Kyra. Later said she was found, purse emptied in the van. If someone had put it over her head. What the hell?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
it's just there's so many unbelievable deaths. I mean, I cannot. And someone else, I think, was it Brittany? Someone said, I skipped over it, but someone said, maybe it was Ashley. Ashley Nudo said, "This is just the tip of the iceberg." I agree. I agree
Mhm.
that we're just giving you the base, some of the basic common names that people talk about in this community as being peripheral deaths surrounding Delphi.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot we don't know.
And like you said in the beginning, Prof, a lot of the things that people call self unalivings or an overdose or something like that is not necessarily what it appears. It's just like the woman. Oh my gosh, the case is her name Greenberg. You know who I'm talking about? Who supposedly stabbed herself.
Oh
She
yeah, yeah,
unalived
yeah.
herself by stabbing herself and like even the back of the head 20
Doesn't make
times.
sense at
Like
all.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like oh yeah, sounds like it could have happened in Delphi, right?
exactly.
Uh
And then the thing is, why isn't law enforcement starting to connect these? If YouTubers are starting to connect at least some of these, let's say if we have 15 or 20 we just rattled off, even if only 10% are related, that's two. Why not go in and
yeah,
connect these two murders and then connect more and then and again and again and then you might start to. I mean, where's FBI is my question. Been a
yeah,
lawyer a long time, and I think the guy is not guilty. And that seems to be the consensus among lawyers. Thank you, A to Z, and thanks for the super chat. They are shocked by absolutely. Where are the feds?
yeah. Well, they got kicked
You're a
off by
lawyer.
Doug Carter.
We're not even lawyers, and we can see the people can see themselves. There's a clear bias, and that there's such a lack of evidence. It looks almost to me as if charges shouldn't have been brought.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Prof, if the Franks motion had ever been heard, they wouldn't have been. They would have dropped the case. And they would have had someone else in jail. If in my opinion, okay, in my opinion, if they had really taken to heart and looked at the evidence, which I believe they did, I believe that Ferency, who is no longer with us, absolutely, and Todd Click and the rest of them, absolutely knew. But it was not followed up on. And so I believe that even if I can't say that I believe the Franks motion 100% as far as the whole way they put it together, but absolutely positively shows there were more people involved and a lot more people with motive and even potential DNA that, whatever. And, but here we are because the judge, decided, in my opinion, to just do away with due process and say, no, we're not going to hear the real evidence, the real things that are head scratchers and like, yeah, this looks pretty bad. No, we're going to go after Richard Allen, who has nothing, absolutely nothing. Let's
Jerome
see.
and Pat Brown were seen at a stop sign in the vicinity of the crime scene about 4:30 a.m. on February 14th. Get the fuck out of here.
Hmm.
Do we have any receipt of that? Can you send me, email one of us a receipt of that? I
Or
mean, that's a
something.
red
Yeah.
flag right there. And then, well, I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah.
No, but the fact that this attorney who just commented, uh, A to Z, like I said, we're not even lawyers, and we can clearly see that there's something that's not right here.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, it's like I said earlier, you can put stuff in the comments, we can read it. But, Prof, you and I are in a long list of Delphi creators. We're still standing. But how many people have been so harassed and so threatened that they stopped? And like I said, no shade and no shame for doing that. You protect your family. But we're just here I am in a different state in front of, a camera. I don't have to live in Delphi, and I've said that from day 1. I can say stuff because I don't have to live there.
Thank you, Aaron Town, Blaine Nelson. Question for you guys: was Blaine Nelson in discovery for the Delphi murders?
I don't even
Was
know who
Blaine
Blaine Nelson.
Nelson in discovery for the Delphi murders, and why? And why is he dead?
Okay,
100%.
okay.
There are many people who have died that have been affiliated. Yes. Or like
Yes.
like Silky says, they have had to go away and disappear because they don't want their lives ruined.
Okay, you're going to have to stop for a second, Prof, cuz I don't know who Blaine Nelson is.
Well, methamphetamine, like that. I'm glad you asked that because that's another thing about this entire group that we're discussing. Every single one of them is tied into the methamphetamine game. They're all tied into the meth game in the counties. Matter of fact, cannot be argued. Even the victims' families, both Abby's family and
Yes.
Libby's family.
Yeah, if y'all didn't know that, if you're new, yes, that is 100% true. Both families are have involvement.
I mean, look, there's no one
Not
here
blaming.
wanting to be
Not blaming.
angry at the victims or the victims' families, but we want to tell you the truth, and we're seeing all these deaths and all of this fear surrounding this case. And one thing that we're seeing is there's a lot of meth around this case, and it's two little girls.
Mm-hmm. And that's honestly, which I'm not going to necessarily bring it up, but there are more elements than just meth, like you and I talked about earlier. Uh,
There's that too. Yeah. There's a
yeah,
lot of the sex. I mean, look, let's be real. The sex clubs are a thing. Okay. Now, meth and sex go together. Okay. The way it started was with the homosexual community back in the day. Okay. It was a known thing to add the meth to the sex, and it was a thing. And that spread into heterosexuals uh, coming on into the past 20 years. And so, as we know from some of the whistleblowers in the Carroll County area, there were the sex clubs that were a prominent thing, a prevalent thing among a bunch of the prominent people. And for instance, Anna Downham was part of that. And she's one of the victims now.
mm-hmm,
Okay. She is the one who died with John McCurdy, who you were discussing earlier. So there's an
right.
undeniable thing that's going on. That's why I call it a criminal underworld cartel type of thing, because you got sex from the sex industry, and you got the meth trafficking, and a lot of that is facilitated by the biker clubs.
Um, I know
And I think
I'm,
it's a terrorism. I call it terrorism.
yeah, I'm way behind in chat. I'm trying to catch up because while you were reading while I was talking, now I'm trying to read. But yes, I agree, Samantha. I do. Uh,
I'll get
I'm
back
gonna
to
get it.
putting things on the screen. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean I am too. And sometimes understand I might put something up there and not comment on it, but I put it up there so people can see it. Okay. Um, Somebody was talking about the same FBI that they're talking about Nasser and Epstein. Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah, they allowed it.
yeah,
Well, I
and
really do think that this is what we're going to see. I think after we get a verdict in Delphi, we're going to see the turning over of a leaf, okay? A new leaf. I'm so glad you're doing a live on Delphi body count related to this case. This needs to be talked about more. Appreciate you speaking on it. Very important. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we're going to see the turning over of a new leaf once we get over this speed bump here.
yeah. Well, I think what we're saying too, and I know you said you've been saying it more. You keep up with people, I guess, more than I do. I keep up with my crowd, my subscribers who message me and stuff like that, but I don't have a lot of time uh, to spend looking at other things. But your opinion is there's problems in the enemy camp already because of the trial, and if Richard Allen is found not guilty, wow, then guess who the spotlight's going to be on? I mean, it's going to go all back to. Of course, it's going to be. Well, I say that either way. If he is found guilty, then I'm going to say uh, we're going to appeal, and the rest of us, no matter what, we're not giving up. We're not giving up on Abby and Libby, and we're not giving up until the right person is in jail. So, I mean, yeah. But now people see we have a lot more knowledge since the arrest of Richard Allen, and I hate that it happened that way. But if it weren't for things that the defense has brought out that was not brought into the trial, but that we know about, um, I'd say they would have stayed hidden, um, like pretty much like they had been. But now, Prof, there's so much out there. The little rats are starting to jump ship. I think, don't you?
Yes, and you know what I think? Now, I go back and forth with Doug Carter, but I think that we're going to reach a point very, very, very soon where Doug Carter might fulfill his word that they're going to go back to the beginning and start all over. And I would say, especially if you get a not guilty verdict, I believe you're going to see them go back to the beginning and start all over. And that's
Yeah,
what's needed, in my opinion. I mean, look at how poorly everything was done in the first place.
right. What kind of case? I don't even understand how you bring to trial a case where the first 70 days of recordings were it not even documented on a ledger who came in so you could even call them back. The first 70 days of everything is just, gone. Oopsie. Uh, how does you even proceed with a case like this? To me, that tells me one thing that I don't believe, Prof, for 1 second that those interviews were just lost. Oops, it wasn't recording. Whatever. We accidentally deleted. I don't believe it. It's pure out horse pucky. And I'll never believe that. And I hope the jury doesn't.
No, I think it's all corruption. I think they deleted what was bad for the actual perpetrators so that they could continue to frame who they wanted to. But
Exactly.
that's my theory here so far until we learn more.
Yeah. And I do believe that if they want to do right by the public, they will go from the very beginning. And if the suspects that were mentioned in the Frank's motion, if they're not guilty, then fine, fine. They have a lot of explaining to do. I'll say that, But if they weren't the actual perpetrators, then at least it gives us a step to go in. Okay, interview them again. Let's
Mhm.
find out. Let's start. Because I'm telling you something, these four officers that worked so hard on this case in the beginning and really, really felt like they knew that this was going to be solved, they had the right people. You're going to tell me that four officers were wrong, but they weren't ever allowed to, like, that theory never came up. So you're telling me you're law enforcement, but you don't believe the people investigating? That's insane.
Well,
I mean, why do they have a job?
I honestly think Todd Click was targeted. Like just to bring us up
Yes,
to date. Like you cannot tell me that Todd Click was not specifically targeted for pissing off the local prosecutor and law enforcement investigators, etc.
a
Because
100%.
he testified in that March, I believe it was in March, in that hearing, and it was really bad for these people. And then immediately, I believe they set up an operation to get him targeted, like saying they set up a few people. Here's what I imagine happened. He pissed them off in March. They put together a team of a few people and they said, every, we're going to go through with a fine tooth comb through his job. We're going to find something. We're going to go through every client he had any contact with whatsoever. We're going to go through his log books. We're going to go through his everything that had to do with his job, and we're going to find something he did wrong so that we can bury him. And they went and they found a couple paperwork errors. And I think
Mm-hmm.
even a next step is I think they even compelled one of the individuals to add some extra on, kind of
I
like
do
Liggett
too.
did to Richard Allen. And they got just enough to go and get an arrest warrant just to fuck with him. And that infuriates me. And it's similar to what we're saying. It's to instill fear, to show people you're not going to mess with us without suffering some kind of consequence.
100%. I mean, I thought that when I first heard about it. I mean, it's a theory. We can't say that this woman isn't telling the truth, but strange how it happened right before the trial, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
mighty suspicious. A lot of things happen right before something is going to get exposed. And I believe if Todd Click had been able to take the witness stand, I think it would have really, really devastated the prosecution. Not that it was that great to start with, but in my opinion. Um,
Well, there's a double blockade because they did it to him to ensure that, and then they had the judge ensure it as well. So it's like two layers of
mm-hmm,
obstruction. You know,
right. Yeah. I
it's
mean,
infuriating.
I think if people who are new to the case go back and they look at all of the things that have happened since Richard Allen was arrested and all of the motions that were never heard, all of the things that were just, the Judge Gold just denied, 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 I think people would be shocked and horrified to know what evidence has been withheld. I mean, if you even didn't believe that Richard Allen was being railroaded in the beginning, like 2 years ago, early on, I was like looking at this and I'm like, no, this is not making sense. So somebody make it math for me. But so I quickly jumped off the Richard Allen is guilty train because there were too many things that didn't make sense. But now, I mean, going back now, looking at all of the things that were never heard before, I cannot. I hope everybody in Indiana does something after this trial because look, it's like I say on my channel all the time, it's not just about Richard Allen. It's about you and me if all the states decide to behave in this manner. It's about due process and the right to a fair trial. And in Indiana, whether you think he's guilty or not, I hope that you want to keep the standards for fairness in the judicial system, because if it's you or your children or your best friend or whomever, you want them to get due process. And I am hoping that the people of Indiana can see this and that they will, start an outcry for justice in the justice system.
Yeah.
It's
And look at what they did to Stephanie Thompson. I mean, I totally believe that was to silence her.
absolutely.
She knew too much. Remember, she did all of the polygraphing, and that means she knew shit, and she knew what was which was true, and knew what was a lie. And then Monday here is mentioning the Marathon gas station and Amber Bowles. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's crazy though about I was thinking about this today. For y'all old in the Delphi case, the Marathon gas station, when the crime was committed, Marathon, there's not a whole lot in Carroll County, and there's not a whole lot of stuff in Delphi. It's a very small town. And Marathon gas station, they're like, okay, we're going to look at the video because if it's an outsider, like whatever, we may be able to find somebody who came into the marathon, you know, that we didn't know about. Possible person of interest. Let's just see. This is a busy place. Strangely enough, the video, for those who don't know, of the Marathon gas station that day, they took and they put it on a thumb drive and they gave it over. And was it the FBI or the ISP, whoever, said, "Oh, this is corrupted. We can't use this. This file is not right." Okay, that can happen. So they go and they take the original from the marathon. So they say the original
Mhm.
video.
Right, right.
And wouldn't you know it, that one's corrupted too.
They disappear it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
just
gone.
like they disappeared 70 days. Like I think of how much you can accomplish in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
70 days of interviews disappeared.
right.
Come on now.
But did you ever think it's weird, though, tying the Flora fire in? Okay. Galen Rose, who is the mother of the four children that died in that fire, worked at the marathon, right?
Yes,
And
yes, true. Yeah.
yeah, Galen worked there. And then, of course, this is November. I don't think she ever went back to work there. Like, she ended up moving out of the area. But how odd is it that you have these two crimes with children that have not been solved, and you have this meet point at the marathon? Hmm.
Well,
And
also remember the marathon is just 2 blocks from Riley Park, and there's so many connections to Riley Park and people's theorizing, including the fact that Tobe Lesenby was parked in Riley Park at this very moment, and and you can access the trails from Riley Park. And there's even some allegations that the girls were at Riley Park at some point. So
mm-hmm.
makes you wonder, like, what was the point? Were people rendezvousing at Riley Park and then perhaps passing by the cameras at Marathon or stopping over? Like, what would be the purpose of destroying the evidence from
Yeah,
Marathon that places certain people at certain times? Um,
right. Yeah, because that evidence was lost early in this before Rick Allen was even a thought in this case. That disappeared. So yeah, you have to wonder what in the heck. Um, what's up with the marathon? I think maybe, and maybe it was just the cars passing by, but obviously, in my opinion, there was something on that marathon video that somebody didn't want seen.
it had to go. It had to go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Think about what had to go. For me, my conspiracy mind right now says everything that was pertinent had to go, because then they can accomplish the bamboozle.
right, right. Um,
Um,
and when you have this many people who, like we started, you have this many related deaths. to one case. I mean, what is the percentage? Because Delphi has less than 3,000 people,
So that's
and
another mind-boggling aspect.
yeah,
And I see we haven't even mentioned this about Diener. So the judge who was assigned, he steps down. Not only that, the prosecutor steps down, you know.
right. And I've read so many things and listened to so many interviews. And really, one of his, Robert Ives was the original prosecutor, one of his first interviews. I've listened to that over and over and over. And the way he talks is just, I think he is kind of flabbergasted to know that this case wasn't solved. He thought it would be solved in a week. So obviously he knew something. You wouldn't just say that on a case like, well, we have no suspects. We really don't have anything. It could be a hot minute. No, he said, to quote him, he said you didn't even need the digital stuff. He said it should have been solved in a week with old fashioned police work. That's what the
Yeah,
prosecutor said.
another very mind-boggling statement he made, and people forget, but I always want to remind people is because the bodies were found so immediately after they were killed, blah 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 blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And it's like,
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
Who would say that to mean 18 or 20 hours? You wouldn't say that. You would say that to mean 5, 10, 20 minutes, I
Yeah,
think, or within an hour.
I would say within an hour. That to me would be immediately. Of course, I've had people argue that point, saying, oh well, immediately can be with even within a couple days because cases do drag out. I don't. He's a prosecutor. I don't think he would have used those words if he didn't mean them. And yeah, he stepped down, which is insane. You step
Prosecutor
down
and
from it.
judge will step down.
Yeah,
And
and
then
if you're
he
gonna,
refused to come and take part in this trial. Remember, Silky? Just,
yes,
yeah.
and if y'all, well, people outside of the jury probably know, but if you don't, they tried to get Robert Ives to testify, and he wanted it quashed, and the judge is like, okay, you don't have to testify. Wow, really?
Yeah, she's just green lighted every single roadblock.
Yeah, it's insane, and that is yeah. Talk about red flags. Yeah, that is absolutely. Um, And when if you are looking at similarities between Delphi and Flora, think, Prof, about how many people in Flora stepped down from their positions after the Flora fire, right?
True, 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 true.
It seems to be what happens in Indiana. There is something suspicious, a suspicious death, and if you I don't know if they're even involved, but if you know something, the best thing that you can do is just step down out of that position, go away, excuse me, and take another position because they don't want to, Flora is still unsolved. And, also, for those who don't know about Flora, there was a 911 call. Listen to this, y'all. There was a 911 call that we pay for 911. We should have access to 911 calls. But Flora did not want that 911 call released. So they said no. So even when Fox 59 took them to court and said, "Hey, we want this, people, this should be public access. All right? We want this." They sued them. And look, Flora still, this is your justice in Indiana. To this day, the 911 call from the Flora fire has not been released. That, to me, is insanity.
What would be the reason to block that? Think about it. You've got a
Yeah,
fire that they say they know nothing about how it started. You've got 4 little dead girls. Why is a county spending $60,000 to block that 911 audio from release? Like, what could possibly be on that audio?
right.
that would be worth $60,000 to keep from the public's ears.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know how Delphi and Flora cross, it is said that there is a very good chance, and I've heard some people say it definitely is true, that Libby knew the Flora girls, and some of the Flora girls were very involved in sports, as was Libby. Look, you're talking about towns very close together in the same county. Of course, you're going to know people on other teams and other places, and then there's the internet. So it crosses, Delphi and Flora cross so many times with the people involved that people have speculated, did Libby know something about Flora? Was she silenced? I mean, you don't know. It's Carroll County. Who the heck knows what they're covering up? But when you're having something like a 911 call, why? Why? And yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about Flora closer to the anniversary. I know the verdict hopefully will be in, and so that'll be a good time to bring up Flora, especially how it relates. But y'all, it is probably I don't even know. I would say in many ways it's even worse than Delphi, and definitely as convoluted as Delphi.
Talking about Judge Diener making, yeah, that was the bloodlust, mentioning the bloodlust, the way he stepped down, and then nobody, nothing says Ives is a biatch for not testifying. I agree. What the hell is
Mm.
wrong with you, dude?
I'm saying he's still scared. I think he stepped down because he was scared, because of the culture of fear, because of, I mean, look at the death count that we just named, and look, we don't even know. We only know what we've heard, what people have brought to our attention over the past years. This is related.
Right, exactly. We only know what people have brought to us.
Because I don't live in Delphi. Thank thank God. At this point, I would not live in the whole state of Indiana anywhere. Um, Look, to those of you who do, beautiful countryside, and I hope you take your state back after this. I really do. Um, there's some serious house cleaning that needs to be done in Indiana. Uh, let's see. I'm looking at this stuff too. Yeah, speaking of DC, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. I think mostly because EOA has a lot of faith in Doug Carter, and I have a lot of faith in EOA. So, but on my own, I have no faith in Doug Carter, um, because of the people that he associates with. Somebody brought up Abbott earlier. Yes, just saying, Abbott and DC are good friends, and that was said in a interview. You can still find it. It's on my channel. Uh, so there you go. Do I trust anybody in this case? No, not a one. Is there anybody that you believe, Prof?
I'm waiting for the feds to step in. I'm saying, look,
I don't even trust them,
there's got
honestly.
to be good cause for a RICO. Okay. I've looked into it, how RICOs work. I've studied it thoroughly. I've posted a lot of it on my community pages. We are ticking all the boxes for a RICO with Delphi. So what's going on? Is it just that they're waiting, or they're just waiting till maybe after this? Like what is actually going on? I mean, I'm just assuming there's gonna be something done, but I mean, if not, I mean, like I've been encouraging my viewers, demand it. It's time to demand it. You write
Yeah.
letters, you email them on uh, to your local FBI. You email them on to the Carroll County FBI, to the ISP, to the uh, senators, representatives, to your own sheriff, to the Carroll County sheriff. You send emails, demand, demand, demand. Something must be done, because
Peaceful
I think the public
protests.
outcry is going to be the only pressure that
Yeah.
actually has effect. And I think that, see, they never anticipated the number of eyes on this case. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Not at all.
And
No.
so maybe it'll work. What's up, Freckle Joy? Thank you for the super chats.
Hi, Freckle Joy. Yeah, that's the thing, Prof. Is they did not expect this case to blow up, and now no matter what the verdict is, I mean, of course, if he's found guilty, we're all going to be talking about appeal, and all that kind of stuff, which is great for Richard Allen, and I want to see justice for him, absolutely. But it doesn't give me justice for Abby and Libby. So the only thing that is going to change that is you. And you all do not understand how much power you have. Any social media you have, Facebook, you know, Instagram, whatever, TikTok, and then like Prof said, writing in, like even doing peaceful protests, like
Even the
stand
White
outside the
House.
Capitol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can write the White House. I've done it before. It's easy.
yeah.
You can put it. You can put an envelope, write a letter, and print it and send it on to the White House.
I mean, there are tons of people that know about this case, but now I think, Prof, there are so many that are new and are seeing corruption that they have never seen before. And it's horrifying. I mean, I read it on X, I read it from people in my chat. Uh, you know, now a lot of people's eyes are being opened, which I'm sure is the very last thing Carroll County wanted to happen. It was bad enough when you had 100 YouTubers out here, you know, talking about this case for the last how many years? 7 years. So almost 8 years. I
Hmm.
mean, but now there are other people who are aware, and the power is in your hands, you know? We get on here, there's only one of us, and yes, there's all of you in the chat, but just imagine the people in the chat taking action. And like, you have far more power than we do to make a difference. And I
I'm telling
hope
you,
that,
right now, you know what's interesting to me? I've been watching is Twitter is blowing up. Twitter is blowing
mm-hmm,
up with Delphi right now.
yes,
People
it
are
is.
shouting the truth from the rooftops in Twitter. So Twitter's becoming like an amazing venue for the public's, feelings and thoughts about it. But it's just one place. So, it's almost like every place has to have this outcry.
Yeah. And definitely if you are in the state of Indiana, I mean, this should be something that you are absolutely, behind, because it's your life. Um, I was gonna say, hey, Sleuthy Goosey, good to see ya. And there
Is
was
she in
somebody else.
here? I don't see her yet,
Yeah,
but hey, Sleuthy.
yeah, she's up a little bit. I'm all over the place with the comments, y'all, because I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything that we really need to talk about. Yes, who said it? I can't remember who said it. Oh, Linda Garris. Crime Night is also awesome. I love Joe Lewis. Uh, and look, I want to tell you something about Joe Lewis. He has always been so very gracious to me. If I wanted to use clips of his or whatever, um, look, I believe, I know some people are, you have different opinions on Joe, but I'm gonna tell you something. I think Joe is a great guy, and I think his heart is in the right place, and definitely he is out there to help people who want to spread the truth. And you won't get that from every creator. A lot of creators are just they're something else, you know? Prof, you
Yeah,
want to use
yeah. You know what else?
something and
He's a great speaker too. I wish I had the quality of voice he has and of
yeah,
way of being able to speak. Because I'm not so happy with my public speaking skills, but
me either.
we are where we are.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
get what you get. You get
I
the
try my best.
I've got the
Uh,
squealy voice and the southern accent. Sorry. It
See
is what
this,
it is.
Carrie? What Carrie's saying here now, I'm so glad she said this because I've been saying this. What will the jurors think when this is all fucking over and they have the chance to go back and research this case deeply, because I know if it were me and I had to make a decision on someone's fate, and then I came out and I realized how much was kept from me, like the
Mm-hmm.
way this judge has done and this prosecutor, I would be furious. And I'm telling you now, those jurors, see, those jurors don't have non-disclosure agreements. Those jurors are going to come out of this case, they're going to wake up and they're going to be furious. And so
Yeah.
good on them, because Carroll County deserves everything they get when these jurors come out and realize what's been done to them. Because it's not just an assault on Abby and Libby, and not just an assault on Richard Allen. This is an assault on those 12 jurors.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
manipulative. It's a crime, and
Yeah.
I call it obstruction of justice by everyone from Judge Goal on down, and they all deserve whatever they get.
I
Pardon me.
agree. I agree. And I also think even if they find him not guilty, and a part of them, I guess as a juror, if you really don't know, you're always hoping you made the right decision.
Mhm.
And if I were a juror and I said not guilty and not really knowing 100%, if I got out and started researching the case, I would feel relieved. So they're either going to be relieved or they're going to be furious. But one way or another, I believe those jurors are going to look into this and, yeah, be horrified by the evidence they were not able to see. Um, we've talked about it for years. And so to us, this death count that people didn't realize when I started naming names, it's like, well, what's this got to do with anything? Well, it's because we've been in Delphi so long that we these names are very familiar to us and how they relate. And so then when you see the unusual deaths, you're like, oh, who was talking? Who was, mm,
A lot of deaths, and remember, Garrett is a serial killer. Okay, really.
yeah,
A lot of these names we mentioned are killers, and some of them are serial killers. Anyway, I don't want to go too far off the deep end, but it's
yeah.
something
Uh,
is wrong here, and I think everybody knows. I mean, look at our audience tonight. Okay, people know that they've been lied to, and that something is awry in Delphi. Something stinks.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this particular live stream is to make people understand, the new ones, that look, this is not, as much as we're here for justice for Abby and Libby, this is not just about them. Do you see what's happening in Carroll County and the counties around and the state of Indiana? Do you see what's happening? Because this isn't the time to shut your eyes. And I've said it, and people have confirmed to me that it goes way higher, way higher, possibly even out of the state of Indiana. And I'm just going to leave it at there, at that for right now. Um, but yeah, uh, these are things that it should be transparent, And I know somebody was referencing the 911 call of Flora again, but yeah, you tell me why a government can be so corrupt. The dollars that come out of your taxes to keep these people in jobs are refusing you the information you're paying for already. And the state just says, oh, we don't care if we're sued. And like, yeah, it went high up. There's a long story with that. It went several layers, but in the end result is that we have no 911 call. And this should be concerning.
Yeah, yeah. And what the hell could be on that call? That's what it keep coming back to. What are you going to say? Who did it? Hey, this guy's out here. What was it going to be? The screams of the victims? Well, what's wrong with hearing that? Because maybe it'll wake people to fuck up and get them to come in and do something about these four babies that got killed.
Yeah,
Like, what's on those recordings where the county itself has to cover their own ass and spend tax dollars to keep it secret? Just like that's why we say the the veil of secrecy that's been thrown over, cast over both Delphi and Flora and a bunch of these deaths is absolutely unacceptable. And there's no excuse for it. Just like there's no excuse for these no camera in the courtroom, and you have this circus transpiring outside of the courthouse right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No cameras in the courtroom. As easy it would be to have a single what do you call it? Pool media pool camera. You could have a single court controlled media pool camera in that damn courtroom,
Mm-hmm.
and you could have put out a lot of these fires that are starting now, and a lot of this
Yeah.
circus that's and this disrespecting the memory of Abby and Libby outside of that courthouse could have been done away with sheer transparency. But now instead, you've got a circus, you've got more secrecy. It's more of the same. It's absolutely we lose our minds and people wonder why.
I don't I put up a comment. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you. I'm gonna look into that. Do you know, Prof?
No, I don't. But I wanted to say that I'm glad I kind of brought myself to this point of the discussion because I didn't want to forget this, and this is a good thing that we don't often talk about. But it's the narcissistic crazy making that's part of this as well. Because see, it's been done on every level. It's been done by the judge, the prosecutor, the sheriff, the all the people, and the family, and everyone, and on down to the troll farm. Okay, is the narcissistic crazy making. What I mean is, they do this shit to infuriate you, to drive you to the point of insanity, and then what they do when you react and you lose your mind and you freak out about it, then they say, "Oh, Prof's caught the Delphi mind virus. Silky's caught the Delphi mind virus. Sleuty Goosey's caught the Delphi mind virus.
Yeah.
Joe Lewis is unhinged. He's caught the Delphi mind virus." When you have caused it,
Yeah.
people are rationally responding to the narcissistic crazy making, and you call them crazy. Am I right or am I wrong?
Oh, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing is you have, and in my opinion, which we know some of them have been paid. As it turns out, people have admitted being on the crazy, what I call the real crazy train. People who just, RA is guilty, blah blah blah, and many other stances they take. But some of these people on YouTube are paid actors to tell you stuff and to try to sway your opinion. I mean, I don't get paid. I mean, I really don't. And I look, a lot of people have, done super chats tonight, but I want to tell you something. Most of the time that I do a live, I never get a super chat, and that's okay. I mean, my people know. Like I don't even ask. If it happens, it's great. But look, we're not being paid to. This is our opinion, our passion, and because we believe in justice, and we believe that there are a lot of victims here, a lot of victims, and we're just trying to speak out and say, hey, because the next time somebody has a suspicious death or not, or God forbid, dies in a house fire in Carroll County, which happens very frequently, people need to ask some questions. Who are these people related to? What did they know?
You
You
know,
know?
people don't realize when you and I talk, for instance, we talk same as we're talking now. Like when we're on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
just the same as now. We're not over here acting for an audience. I mean, this is how we talk. But let me
Yeah.
stop and say, because I haven't said it yet. All of you who are watching from the props channels, please go and subscribe to Silky. I pinned, if you look down below here, I've pinned it at the top of the chat her YouTube channel. So go and please subscribe to Silky. She could use it, and she's a wonderful show to watch. And please go and find her. She's right there, pinned at the top of the chat.
Also drop yours because I don't have it pulled up. Drop your channels in the chat, pin them, whatever you want to do. Absolutely, Silky Southern people.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, I got to go figure that out, huh? To how does
okay, I don't know. It's just like I can't. I'm limited on what I can do. Reading chat, you know. co-hosting, looking something up. Not an easy task.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Jury should have had it all in front of them, not just the state's flimsy ass gaslighting case. Yeah,
yes, a
or
hundred percent.
at least, if not all of it, more of it.
And let me tell y'all
I'm
this.
sure they will, especially if this goes to mistrial and it comes back around. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
And let me say to Sleuthy, if you're not familiar with Sleuthy Goosey, follow her on Twitter. She is an expert researcher. Okay, absolutely wonderful. Um, and she's a great person too. I'll throw that in there too. But yeah,
Well, that's the thing.
absolutely.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Uh,
you're fine.
Adolf Hitler says, "What 99 call? Who made it?" Exactly, because we don't even know, and
No,
it's more than one. I believe it's two.
it
I
could be.
believe it's two, and we don't even get to know who made it. What are the contents? What's the transcript? What's the sounds? Why would they block that?
I've wondered, Prof, if there was something going on in the background or somebody saying something in the background when they were breaking out those windows. Y'all just, I mean, catch up if it's Flora, but you don't break out windows in a fire because it feeds the fire. The oxygen feeds the fire, but that's exactly what people, without naming names, people in charge were doing, and all it did is make the house go up faster. And I wonder, Prof, if there were people saying things that could be recognized in the background. What time was the 911 call made? Was it early on? Had the house not engulfed as much? Yeah, all of
Let me
those
just say
things.
this, and this is going to be horrible. So if you're squeamish, just close your ears for a moment. I'll give you 5 seconds. Close your ears if you're squeamish. And this is nothing anyone ever wants to say or to think about. Okay, but I'll tell you now, those girls were screaming for their lives as they burned alive.
As their mother was outside.
There are four baby girls in there screaming for their lives as they're dying. And you're going to keep that out of public ears?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and this is why it's hard. And for y'all who support Flora, I 100% support Flora. But for those who wonder why I don't do more of Flora, it's because, like I said in the beginning, it's because I can't. I get so angry. I'm really gonna say some things that I really don't want. The internet lives forever. Um, I'm either gonna break down in tears or I'm gonna start screaming very ugly things. And I have to really pace myself on Flora because that one,
Yeah, that's
uh,
it's hard for me to even say what I just said because I choked
yeah,
up because I stood over their bodies in that cemetery and I realized there was just four little girls under that ground there. It brings tears to your eyes. Those four little
yeah,
girls. It's not just some figments of your imagination on the YouTube screen.
exactly. And the mom outside
And
that
there's a
cannot reach
mommy
her
in here.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the kind of thing, as bad as Delphi was, and I'm not saying that Flora was worse or better. I think they're equal, but some of the things that you have to talk about when you talk about Flora is so much harder for me. And it's like I said when I first heard about Flora, because Flora happened first, then Delphi happened, but Delphi continuously gets all the attention and has for years, even before Rick Allen. And I mean, I've always said it. Is it because of the color of their skin? Did that make a difference on what you're going to report on? How important is it? You know, and I'm gonna shut up right there. But that's always been my thought. Um, it's just it's horrific. It's horrific. And the darkness on Carroll County, in my opinion, is going to remain until they put these people behind bars that most likely have real connections to these two cases. And some of them are the same people or run with the same crowds. And we know that. And until you get these people off the street and in jail where they belong, you're going to have that blight on Carroll County forever. That's just my opinion. All right, I got to stop talking about Flora. I'm sorry. I have to. I have to. I just
Yeah,
get
it's
too I
kind of
get too
got me.
wound up.
I can't even keep going
Yeah.
on that. But these people, like this, like you said it perfectly. There's a blight on Carroll County, and the lack of justice or the absence of justice is going to let that blight remain until justice comes. Transparency. People want to know, like, honor these dead children.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're for God's sakes, they're children. They were all just children. Um
Just with the truth,
yeah.
no matter what it means. Like, yeah, some people are going down. Some of the politicians look bad. Some of the family, I don't care.
I don't care either. I mean, I really don't. I've never accused anybody. I mean, there are definitely questions that you have in these cases. Never accused anybody, but the bottom line is I don't care. I don't care if they're involved or if they're not. I want the people involved in jail. And that's, to me, that is justice. And in my opinion, for 2 years since the arrest, it ain't Rick Allen. And as far as I know, you can't tie him at all to Flora. So there's that. Um, let's see. All right, I'm gonna try to catch my breath a little bit. I know it's hard. It's hard. Does anybody else have somebody on the list? Maybe you've already put it in chat and I missed it. Anybody else have more people to add to the list?
Okay.
Because those who call out conspiracy theories are the conspirators. Yeah, I agree, Allie. I do. Uh, wow. Okay, okay. I'm interested. What do y'all think? I know I hear two things, Prof, on this verdict: either hung jury or acquittal.
Yeah, my prediction, I said it with Sterling the other day. I think you've got, I don't know, maybe like a 65% hung jury, and then the rest, 35% acquittal, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've heard a lot of attorneys say, you never know what a jury's going to do. And I know that's true. Um,
No.
sometimes I watch a trial just like the jury. I'm watching it on court TV or whatever, and they come to a conclusion, and I'm like, what? What were we watching the same thing? And I guess that's what I'm gonna have to say in this case, um, if that's the way it goes, if it goes badly. But I don't know. We've come so far.
Well, people like to say the longer that people have all these theories about the longer the jury deliberates XYZ, but from what I've seen from some really good attorneys who are experienced, that's not true. That it's sort of random odds. So what I'm feeling is that the longer this jury is deliberating, then the more impassioned and thorough job maybe they're doing in trying to reach some sort of proper end, but that still doesn't know that still doesn't mean it's going to be successful. But I think it's good that they're being thorough and going long because obviously there are passions in this.
Yeah. Uh, oh, did we
How
just
could you not
cancel each
be?
other?
I'm sorry. Looking at the You see, the little crime scene photos we've seen are nothing. They're just the two crime scene photos that I believe were taken by one of the searchers. The
Yeah.
crime scene photos that they saw were the actual crime scene photos, very
Yeah.
detailed. They also saw autopsy photos. They also saw video. And so they have a lot more information as far as that goes. And I think that's going to be playing into their hearts and minds.
Yeah. Yeah. I, that almost gives you PTSD because you're right. I believe I've always believed that the pictures that circulated were from a uh, searcher. It just the way the quality of the photographs, but yeah, can you imagine seeing the real photos? You'd have to have PTSD from that, in my opinion. I did want to say though, Nancy Drew, way before Flora was a fire that killed a wife and two children. They said it was lightning, but it wasn't storming. The Dennis family. Yeah, I did a video on that. Well, I mentioned that in a video pretty heavily. Oh, at least over a year ago. Interestingly, did you know about that one, Prof?
Oh, what's that?
The dentist that his wife and family died in a house fire.
Sorry
Um,
about the dog. Hold on.
that's okay. Like I've got one running around crazy over here. Um, yeah, Nancy Drew. For the thing of it is that house fire. Now the dental practice, strangely enough, there was a dentist, and I'm not going to name names, not tonight. I may mention it later. I mean, whatever. There was a dentist, and even the newspaper articles, if you read them, you're like, what in the world? Are you kidding me? Um, but his practice was right across the street from Galen Rose's house, that of the Flora fire. Literally across the street was his practice. Now, that's not where the fire happened. The fire happened at his house. He was the only one to survive. His wife and children were uh, killed in that fire. And, he moved on with his life and married a younger woman relatively quickly. And there was no storm. The stats on lightning fires are astronomical. But apparently that's the way Carroll County does it. I almost included him actually in this, but it really doesn't have anything to do with Delphi as far as I know. It is um, similar to Flora, but it is what it is. So there you go. There's the corruption. And I mean, I think, Prof, if we just stopped and mentioned all of the deaths in Carroll County, and what is the whole county is only like 20,000, 20 something thousand. That's the whole county. Like my city has more than that, and I'm in a small town. I don't even
Oh,
know what
mine
our
too.
census
Mine too.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you imagine a whole county and only having 20,000 people, and yet the death rate is astronomical, especially over the years. If you go back and you look at stats from other states and other counties, like why are so many people dying in Indiana?
I mean, it's just a fact, especially the arson fires. It's off
Yes.
the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And I am saying it's domestic terrorists who are running these meth and these girls, and something's got to be done. I mean, the
Okay.
onus is on the federal government at this point to swoop in and come down and clean house. I'm sorry.
Yes,
And
I'm
remember,
writing
even
some
Eric
names
Williams
down.
said that there's so much corruption that Lafayette is going to end up running Delphi. Do you remember that quote from him?
No. When was this?
Eric Williams. after the murders of Abby and Libby. He said there's so much damn corruption that I guarantee you, uh, Lafayette's going to end up running Delphi before it's all over with. I go find the quote because it's awesome.
Wow. Well, I
Yeah.
tell you, also, and this doesn't have to do with Delphi, but it does have to do with corruption. I did a series on Tanner Barton about a year and a half ago, and he was a guy, very suspicious death, very suspicious, a lot of substances involved around it, and Tanner still hasn't had justice, and
Hmm.
it's because of whose house he passed away in. Okay. Again, nothing to do with Delphi, but it does have to do with corruption. But what did we say? We named about what, about 14, 16 people, um,
It's a lot.
just having to do with Delphi, not counting not counting the many others. So there you go. Uh, that's what we're looking at. And I hope y'all who haven't, like, been part of this case and you're coming in on the Delphi case, I hope you research. I hope you listen. Maybe if you don't want to research, listen to some other creators. I wrote two names down, Prof, that you put up there that somebody said, Tom Skinner and Noah Rainey. I don't know about them. I
And
don't
look
know.
at this is from Radar. Look at these.
Were there others before this? Oh, look, we might have to do a part two.
Jeez. Yeah.
Stephen
Radar really
Dixon.
knows.
Yeah, Radar does. Radar's awesome too. Uh, yeah, Daniel Height. I know a little bit about that one. Little bit, not a whole lot. Interesting. Like, you've given me some. Thank y'all. You've given me some stuff to look into. Uh, wow.
I agree, Rebecca. There's probably some Indiana senator or governor that has a hush deal with the feds. I'd be willing to bet my left arm you find corruption throughout the state. Yeah, and the feds.
Yeah,
They're all over.
I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm sorry, Prof, because it's a no no, but I'm gonna say it. I've said it on my channel bunches of times. Jay Abbott, if you don't remember the Larry Nasser case and um, the essay of Olympics athletes,
Mm.
Nasser and Abbott were working together. Actually, Abbott left, or Abbott tried to leave and join Nasser, who was diddling the girls. I guess it was just the girls. I don't really know. Um, Jay Abbott, friends with Nasser, also friends with Mike Pence, who was then the governor, not the governor anymore, because, he took a bigger job back in 2016 to Washington. So you tell me, how far does it go? Um, there's a lot of stuff that I would only say on a members only. Um, but I'll just say that there are some very credible people who have named very prominent people in the government and the ISP for accusing them of being a chomo or a SAer. These people aren't alive anymore, but you can still find their videos if you look hard. So, is it the whole state of Indiana? I'm not saying Indiana is the only state that does this. I mean, it goes all over the place. This kind of stuff, unfortunately, is everywhere. It just seems that there's a lot of concentration in Indiana. And is it because a big bunch of it is rural, and people will just think, oh, it's just a you know little mom and pop towns. Nothing goes on here. I don't know. Makes a perfect cover, though, doesn't it? Uh,
Well, and it's like I said about these people. I predict that what's going to happen when the accountability starts to be demanded, what they're going to say is, "Whoops, we're all incompetent. We're all incompetent." Jerry Holman, Mullen, blah blah blah. Police department, the sheriff's department. We're just incompetent. Don't nothing to see here. We're incompetent. Sorry, guys. We'll let a couple heads roll. Don't forget about. I mean, just forget about it. Nothing to see here. And I will absolutely not buy that. I will not buy
Mm-mm.
it. They are not
No.
incompetent. They are corrupt, and something has to be done about it.
100%. Yeah, so much. You have to be very careful what you say, even on a lot on members only. You have to be careful, but there's a lot of names and a lot of situations. Do I trust Holman like I would a rattlesnake? That's how much I trust Holman. Uh, so there you go.
And hey, he might have started off okay, but at this point, like you literally projected that you wanted Alan guilty and you were going to find him guilty no matter what, one way or the other. And it looks like that's what you all have done.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm looking in the chat. Some yes, a lot of like I said, and I didn't name names, but yeah, a lot of you are right. And first responders, people who were at Flora and Delphi. Yep, yep. And again, it's a small county and other towns come and help and stuff like that. So you can't just say, "Oh well, this is really suspicious." I mean, yeah, they do help the other places. So not necessarily. Okay, you can't just say, "Well, because person was a first responder here and there can, there's something nefarious." Not in itself. And that's the thing, but that's not the reason. It's like, well, that is part of the piece of the pie, but it's not the whole pie. Uh, let's see. Yeah, I'm hoping yes, you're right, nobody nothing. That is exactly the name. Yeah. If anybody's wondering about the dentist, find that comment. That's who that was. Very, very suspicious. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at radar. Okay. Interesting.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh wait, no, wait.
Oh,
Ron who used Melville.
oh, the Sugar Creek. Yeah, yeah. That. Well, they're saying that's why Kim Riley made the Sugar Creek mistake. I don't know. I don't know. This is
Um,
like I've said. Every single aspect of this case is full of like suspicion from where they were found, when they were found, who found them, were they in the water, were they not in the water, were they in a shack, were they not in a shack, were they this and this, who found them, when they dropped them off, when they picked them up, answering the calls,
yeah,
not answering the calls, put the sweatshirt, put the hair on the sweatshirt, hair in the finger.
yeah. Oh, digital for sure. For sure. I can't get over how someone who was only a speck on the screen crossed a bridge that long and came up behind the girls in less than 43 seconds. I hope that's what the jury sees. And I hate that they weren't taken out there. I thought that they would take them out to the crime, not maybe not the crime scene, but to the bridge. I was kind of disappointed because I think if the jury could have seen the old bridge, the part that hasn't been replaced, and you think, how hard would it be? How fast could you cross this? Not very, unless you knew it very, very well. That whole, the whole video, the bridge guy, the sketches. Look, that part, Prof, just makes me want to puke. That whole thing that they did to us, and had you looking at every single body with a Carhartt jacket, you know,
With the
you know
totally artificial, fake created face. People stared at that face
exactly.
for 7.5 years and compared it to damn near every male in the Carroll County.
Yeah,
And it was all a
neighbors.
farce. And they knew it the whole time.
Right, and they're saying, "Look at this." I mean, remember Doug Carter talking about his mannerisms and the voice and all this. This could be somebody somebody like look, people were it was almost like Germany back in the 40s, 30s and 40s. People were looking at their neighbors, like turning in their neighbors because God forbid they walked out in a Carhartt jacket and blue jeans and some boots. I mean, standard Indiana, clothing. It's like, oh, that could be bridge guy. Like how cruel was that to do to a county of people, who loved Abby and Libby and were already hurting and horrified and scared? Who is this guy? Are my children safe? Well, the sheriff told you within days, oh, you have nothing to worry about. You're safe. How can you say that? How could you say that about Delphi if you didn't know who the perpetrator was?
Now that there makes my blood boil too.
Mm-hmm.
To go around and tell people they had nothing to worry about, and you got two little girls brutally slaughtered with their necks slashed in the woods,
Yeah.
a place where other kids regularly go.
Yeah. And you have the audacity to say, oh, you're safe. You're safe. To me, that was one of the first things that was a huge red flag. You don't say that. I mean, think about even New York City during the 70s when you had Son of Sam running around, whatever, David Berkowitz running around shooting people. Even the cities in large areas say be safe. Don't go out after dark. If you do go out with a group of people, blah blah blah. Don't be sitting in your car alone or just with one other person. Like they gave you warnings. Oh, but not old Tobe. Old Tobe just wanted to say, oh, you're safe. Let your kids run around. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But here's going to put a 40 caliber bullet on my desk right here for the TV and try
right.
to like intimidate someone sideways style.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I. When I watched that interview, though, all I can think of is Barney Fife and his one bullet. Uh, but that's just me. But yeah, you had that so early on. It was a very big red flag because either you do not there's not a good explanation. Either you do not care about the safety of your citizens, or two, you know who did it and you know it's not going to happen again because you know why they did it. There's only one of two explanations for that kind of statement. Um, and that's just my opinion, but that was a huge red flag from the
Lisa
get go.
says, when you hear the community is safe, you know that it's targeted. Yeah.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know, but I don't know. Here's the thing I've learned: you can't trust a single one of these bastards out of Delphi, whether it's
Mm-mm.
Lesenby, Mullen, Carter, uh, Holman. I mean, at this point, I want to trust Carter, but at this point, dude, you let them damn near kill Rick Allen,
Yeah.
so you got some explaining to do, and it's time to put up or shut up. We need the feds in here immediately and give this whole town an enema. Clean it out. It's got to be done. I mean, the bullshit got to stop.
The Carroll County enema. Oh, that needs to be a meme. Some of y'all, that needs to be a meme. You're right, though. They need a good cleansing.
It makes
And
the blood boil. And
yeah,
then for them to think of all the harm that's been done, all of the threats, intimidation, doxing. You got Robert Fortune dead, like I said. You got all these other bodies we've been talking about. And what about us here? There's a lot of us here who have had uh, uh, since severe emotional distress because of the threats and bullshit that they've allowed to continue. A lot of people have been hurt in this community, and they know it. It's been reported to FBI. The people know this. The uh, Todd Rokita, Attorney General of Indiana, knows it. Nothing's been done.
yeah, exactly. Um, Sorry, I got distracted. Let me do make a correction though. Somebody just messaged me. Um, Galen Rose did not work at the marathon in Delphi, but in Flora. My mistake.
That's right.
However,
Erin put
that
that
does
in the.
not.
I mean, in the
Oh, did
chat
they?
earlier.
Okay, okay. But let me say this: that has nothing to do with what we were talking about. The video that disappeared. That still was Delphi, still in relation to Abby and Libby. But yeah, I do want to say, I please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about something. Please. Uh, let's see. I am so far behind on the chat, y'all.
Am
Uh,
I frozen?
you were for just a second. Um,
I look frozen, but I'm not sure.
you're freezing just a little bit, and then you come back. Um, so do you think we'll get a verdict tomorrow? I heard somebody say something uh the other day on, I think it was on X, and look, tomorrow is Veterans Day, and they said, wouldn't it be awesome, as Richard Allen was a veteran, for him to be acquitted on Veterans Day? And I'm like, that really would be cool. Um, yes, yeah, we've talked about that. Purple Hearts, the first scanner said that the girls were found in the water. Sure was. Um, okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna put another one up. Let's see. I'm having a little glitching.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with y'all. I think that they were trying to force him into a confession. I mean, I did not see that interview from Holman, and but from what I've heard from the people in the courtroom, that that's pretty much what it was. Um, is Jay Abbott related to the Abbott man at the trails that day? I don't know. I really don't know. Um, Man, I'm still far, far behind, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm catching up. Uh, you still there, Prof?
Yeah, do you hear me? I was freezing up. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I'm not freezing up. I feel good.
When you do,
I look
it's
good.
just a glitch. It doesn't last but just a second, and then you come back.
Oh,
Uh,
so we should be good.
yeah.
Um,
There's another one that disappeared. That's not a. J. Kyle Keener uh made himself scarce after all of that, as did a lot of people. You know, as did a lot of people. Let's see.
um,
So I just don't want to. I mean, we've been going for 2 hours and 26 seconds, so I'm thinking that we're gonna be about done, but I don't want to miss anything that y'all have brought up, especially anybody else who
this one here, how
died
can Ellie
badly.
lie like this for years? With many people knowing the truth, is Ellie fabricated this narrative. For Ellie to do this, they have blood on their hands. The
Mm-hmm.
same scenario was done to Snyder, Jesse Snyder.
Oh, yeah. Now he's another one that I thought about. There's a lot on the peripherals. For those who don't know, look up. I think it wasn't it R&M that did that video on Jesse Snyder?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, look up Jesse Snyder.
Pretty much shows you exactly how it was. It's bad too.
Right. And strangely enough, and Jesse Snyder did unalive himself, but it was a horrible process what law enforcement did to him, the ridiculousness, that the things that they put him through that were completely, it was like, why, what is wrong with you? And strangely, the person that caused the most trouble in this case was a man named Dan Doolin. Where have I heard that name before? Oh, Dan Doolin is the one that interviewed Richard Allen. Hmm, interesting.
Well, let me just say, add to this too, because look, people are going to point at us. They're going to say it anyway, so I don't care. They're going to look at us and they're going to say, they're just conspiracy theories. They're saying everyone is corrupt and colluding. Yes, yes, actually. The same names consistently come up as being POSs, okay? Corrupt, evil. And look, we have a mutual friend named Josh, right, Silky? Josh. Josh will tell you that it's no lie. These same people were known for this. Just like Josh will tell you, my buddy Joe Swisher, retired master trooper, was known as a good cop. Okay? You got good cops, you got piece of shit cops. And
Yeah.
these names that just so happen to be popping up with being the touch points in Delphi happen to be the piece of shit cops. Why? Why?
Well, here's the thing, Prof. And I'm not saying it just happens in Carroll County, but law enforcement doesn't make a lot of money. They just don't, and that's a shame. It's really a shame because, in my opinion, law enforcement, like, it's a hard job. It's a tough job, and you can make a lot of difference, or you can make a a lot of mistakes. Say that word loosely, but sometimes police need an additional source of income because it's hard to make ends meet on what they're paid, which again I think is ridiculous. But is that why? I mean, that's usually why cops get involved and or cover up or are paid hush money to not mention things because they're not actually doing it. They're just not exposing it. And they can pay their mortgage this month. I mean, it happens. And I say this because I worked with law enforcement. And I mean, I would tell them all the time, like, this is ridiculous. I mean, I knew the pay scale. Like, it's why? Why aren't they paying more? Like, this is important. This should be a well paid job. Um,
Carrie
but
says
it's
all of
not.
these pro RA supporters should line the streets tomorrow morning with their signs so when the jury is bust in, they can see them. Let me say something on that, Carrie, because I haven't said this, but I want everyone to know who's not privy to what's going on at the courthouse in Delphi. You guys, it's actually laughable, but it's perfect because it's reflective of what we're seeing here in YouTube. And what we're seeing here in YouTube is that 85-90% of the people are leaning towards Richard Allen is innocent, or that at a minimum, the prosecution has presented no case. And I mean, the numbers don't lie. When you see the numbers watching us versus the numbers watching the couple that are staunch supporters of law enforcement or of Richard Allen's guilt, it's astonishing. We're getting 85 to 15%, something like that. Well, it's the exact same outside of the courthouse because the few guys that I have out there at the courthouse, it's amazing. I've asked them to take video and photos for me so they can prove. I don't want to hear their word. I want to see the proof for myself. But literally, you have almost 100 people out there, and of that 100 people, 70, 75 of them are pro due process, Richard Allen is innocent crowd. When you look at all the people holding the signs and all the group out there supporting Richard Allen and some due process, it looks good. And you look over there at the little crowd that's over there wanting blood, sitting there with bloodlust, calling him a baby killer, even though there's been no evidence presented. Um, it's like 7 or 8 people, and it's amazing. Think about it, y'all. Yeah,
Yeah.
think about it. 7 or 8 people versus 70 people. So that's
I
just the
mean,
good word. And like I said, we're seeing it here in these YouTube streets as well.
Yeah, lots of Prof. Sorry, I've got a gnat. Yeah, Prof and I have seen a lot of that in our live streams, and also on X. You're right; it's blowing up. I
Yep.
just wanted to say that talking about Jesse Snyder, the documentary is by R&M Productions, and it's called The Reckoning. And it's what I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know how long it is. I don't know if it's 20,
It's the
40 minutes.
Jesse
I don't.
Snyder thing. Um,
Yes, but
and
it
let me
will
say
tell
those
you a
numbers
lot.
I just gave. Okay, don't try to kill me tomorrow with the numbers. It's a rough estimate. I'm telling you, when I'm looking at the photographs and videos I'm being sent, it's a huge group for Richard Allen, and it's like 7 people for Nicholas McClelland. So just want to clear that up.
Yeah. And like I said, I will say this, and I've said it multiple times. If they find him guilty, it's going to go straight to an appellate court, and I once it goes to appeal, and they see that Gold did not allow the Franks motion or any third party anything, plus the fact that the PCA was crap, they may just throw it out completely. If not, I definitely think that Richard Allen will be acquitted in an appellate court. Um, the thing is, will he live that long? Well, let's hope so. Because if he doesn't, you're gonna hear a huge outcry. And I think maybe that's the great thing about this case is that it is so public, Prof. That now if something happens to Richard Allen, they're gonna be looking really, really, really close. The public. So maybe that's a good thing. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to get there.
I agree. I
Um,
say this: no matter what, a Silky, the eyes of the world are on this case, and that's just not hyperbole. It's not a catchphrase. Uh, there's more eyes now on this case than have ever been. And literally, I get people every day: Scotland, New Zealand, UK, South Africa, blah, 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 even Saudi
mhm.
Arabia. We're getting people. The whole world is watching this. It ain't going away. You can't put the cat back in the bag. It's gone.
Right.
It's
Right.
done. People are watching.
Yeah. And maybe some people should be worried. Um, I think some people are, and that's why they're fighting back so much. But look, if you're guilty, you're guilty. I don't care who you are. Um, all right. Talking about how many are from Indiana, your analytics. I have looked at my. I can't say. I don't know if you've, Prof. I do have people from Indiana, but like you, I have on Silky Southern. I've got so many people from other countries, like way all over the place, as well. So, um, and again, I think a lot of people in Indiana don't talk because they're scared. They're just like, I'm just gonna stay out of it. I'm gonna stay out of it. But I would hope that if this was happening in Alabama and this was corruption in my state, and I felt too scared or too intimidated for my kids' sakes, whatever, my family, I would hope that people online would be a voice for me. I would hope that somebody would take it up and say, "Hey, let's call out the corruption."
Hmm.
Um,
You see, Sleuthie says, "Oh no, the world is watching, and the world does see what's going on." That's what I'm saying. And Twitter is. I had never seen hardly a single thing on Twitter. There was so minimal over these years. But since this trial has been going on, especially the past week, especially, Twitter's absolutely blowing up as it should be. You know.
I know you've put a lot of stuff up there. I starred something. You can go back and look at it by Sandy D. I thought that was very interesting.
Oh, I didn't see what it is, but I
I don't know
missed
if
so
I.
many chats. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying my best, but there's just so many.
I know. I know.
We've got 2,000 chats, and I know I've got at least 50 starred that I haven't even put up yet.
Yeah, there's just some things. I don't even know if I would put that one up there,
Hey, I just love
but
you
it's
guys. Let
very
me say,
interesting.
my people, look, uh, people who are here, I just love you so much. The ones who've been here a long time, you know, I especially love you, and I mean like nobody, nothing, radar, all you long timers, love you guys. All you new people who are coming and contributing so much amazing, so many amazing comments and value to this chat. I appreciate it, and even Silky's viewers, who some of you I don't even know. I just want you to know that we really love you being here. It's
Yes,
not, I say many times, it's not about me being a talking head or what telling you things or whatever. This is the greater value in this is your presence here, all the people in the chat. So
right.
we really do value it, and I just wish I could throw up all 2,000 of these one after the other, but I mean I'm treading water here. I'm struggling to breathe, but
I
hopefully
know.
before we get out of here I'll put up several more. And I just want to thank you all for being here, and thanks Silky for sharing the time with me. You know, I always love doing shows, or Silky shows.
I do too. I do. Because most of the time, Prof, I'm sitting here. I mean, I'm very engaged with the chat, and to my people, you all know. I tell you all the time how much I love and appreciate you for sure. But I'm usually very engaged with chat. It's just there's so much going on. But I appreciate doing shows with you because I like to hear somebody else talk besides myself. I really do.
Hey,
Um,
it's there's so much to talk about. Like we could go on and on and on. But
yes, we
please
could.
let me do a commercial. Please, for Silky, go subscribe to her channel, and if you're watching me, please subscribe. I have two channels, and also please support us. We don't like asking, but please, we have super chats, PayPal, Cash apps, buy me a coffee, blah 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 blah. Please hit the likes, hit the likes. If you're in the lurker crew, join the chat before we leave here. And if you're on a replay, because you know these replays will stay up for years, leave
Yes.
a comment down below because the comments are just so thrilling day to day as the comments keep going on and the conversation continues. So
Mm,
we love the comment section too. So please leave a comment and let us know what you think.
yes.
And again, thank you all for being here. This has just been wonderful. Um,
It has. And my people, please subscribe to the Prof. Like I said, he said he's got two channels. I was gonna say something about Prof. The comments mean a lot to me, and there are many videos I have done when I wasn't going live and I was just doing videos.
mhm.
Um, there were so many comments that were so good and that gave me so much information. I could do a whole video just on viewer comments, and I loved it. So don't think that we don't read them. I've actually had some good ones lately, and I'm like, I might need to do a whole video on this. So yeah, if you're on the replay crew, great. Um, Comment. Let's. I want to see what you're saying. Especially if you've got more information on the Delphi death count, because that is crazy. Um, all right, I guess we'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you again, Prof, to all of your people that came in and for having a great chat. Like, we really did. There wasn't really any problems tonight. Just that I saw anyway. Maybe the mods got them so quick, but it was really good and you all are so smart. And I really appreciate you chiming on in there, telling us what you know. All right. You still have a headache, Prof?
No, I'm good. Like the water got me. Uh,
Good.
you want to hear some weird shit?
Yeah, sure, I'm always up
Weird.
for that.
It's 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 pickle juice and water
Mm.
because it makes me feel better sometimes. Not all the time, maybe twice a year, but tonight that's what I felt I needed. So I'm drinking pickle juice and water. But
Wow.
what did I want to say? Let's see. I wanted to say, mm, oh well, I saw something here. Oh, about no, no, it wasn't about this. It wasn't about the chat. I wanted to say, look, you guys know we're going to be facing a verdict soon. We're going to be getting a
Mhm.
verdict soon. I just want you all to please pray and please understand that we are in a long-term process. We're not looking for immediate anything. We're looking for a long-term process, some long-term justice, and some long-term peace and and sanity. So understand, like we are saying, this culture of death and fear and hate that surrounds this. This is not God's way. God's way is a long patience and a wisdom and compassion in that. So
Yeah.
understand that as this verdict comes, maintain the concept that no matter what, we are in this for the long haul, because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, what we want to see is true justice for Abby and Libby. And what that means is truth coming to the surface. This is beyond Richard Allen. This is beyond Nick McClellan. This is beyond the families or us or me and Silky. This is truth coming to the surface. And that truth can be a bitter truth. It can be a difficult
Yeah.
process. So just be patient and pray for uh, for the peace and sanity in this community, because it's been too much. It really has. And I
Yeah.
know that's why Silky and I are friends, because we're both peaceful, loving, happy people. And
Yeah.
I hope that all of you are. Okay.
Yeah. One day we'll have to have a happy, uh, a happy, fun live where we're not talking about, the worst of people. So
Yes.
maybe when all this is over, we can do something fun.
Yeah. It's the
But
ACV prop. That's right. Apple cider vinegar. I always call ACV apple cider vinegar. Mess with
yeah,
them. Uh,
I love apple cider vinegar. It's
Pickle
great for so
juice.
much stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love
Yeah.
you guys, and Silky again. Thank you so much, Silky. Thanks to you, and thanks to
Thanks for
everyone here.
coming.
We love you.
Yeah. We love you all. Have a great night. And let's wait for that verdict. Pray, y'all, pray. Whatever you do, stay silky. Bye bye.